Hey all, hope you're doing great. So in the previous video, what we learned was we learned how to make a basic network topology and how to do gateway configurations. Then we also learned static routing protocols and dynamic routing protocols. And we learned that if we have different dynamic routing protocols implemented in one network topology, and then how we do redistribution for that. So if you want to learn any of that stuff, I will add those video links in the description below. And what we're going to learn today is we're going to learn how to do DHCP configuration. DHCP, which is also known as Dynamic Host Control Protocol, is basically an internet protocol that automatically assigns IPs to the end devices in your networks. Because for this example, for the purpose of simplicity, I've just added two end devices, but usually there's a lot of end devices, and you don't want to go in, you don't want to manually assign IP addresses to each end device because there's hundreds of devices. So right now in this example, what I've done is that I've done the basic gateway configurations, but I haven't gone into these end devices and to the desktop and IP configuration, and I haven't statically assigned IP addresses to these end devices because we want to do that through DHCP. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to end devices, and then you're going to go to this third icon over here, which is a server. And once you've placed the server on the screen, you're going to want to connect that to a router. And since they're on the same level, the router and the server, you're going to use a copper crossover wire. And let's give this a IP as well. So FA0/0, click on the router, go to config. You can also do this through CLI. Go to FA0/0, and let's give this, let's say, 6.1.1.1. Go ahead and copy that as well so that we can place a note. Right, no shut. And let's go ahead and place a note over here so that we can remember the IP address. Okay, once you've done that, then just as you go to your end devices and statically give them IP addresses, you want to do the same thing for your server. So you go to the server, you go to desktop to IP configuration, and let's give this the IP address 6.1.1.2. And over here, it's obviously 6.1.1.1. Let's go ahead and cross that. And then what you're gonna want to remember is that before you do the whole DHCP configuration thing, you need to have some sort of some type of routing protocol implemented. And I haven't done that yet so that I can show you so you can follow along. So let's go ahead and let's implement RIP dynamic routing protocol. So you'll also get a revision of that. So the way that you do is you click on the router, you go to CLI, you write router RIP version 2, and then you write all the networks that are in direct connection to the router. So we have 3.1.1.1, and then we have 2.1.1.1, and lastly 6.1.1.1. So that's it. Let's go ahead and exit. And then let's also do this routing for the other router. So go to the router, go to CLI, enable config T, router RIP version 2, and network, and then let's add the directly connected network. So one of them is 3.1.1.2, and then the other one is 5.1.1.1. So there we go, we've done the routing. Now what we need to do is that for each of the interfaces that are connected, so this interface and this interface, this interface that are connected to a router, and we don't want to assign IP addresses to them statically, we want to do that through DHCP. For each of them, what we do is we click on the router, we go to the CLI, config T, and then you go to that interface. So this, for example, is FA0/1. So you write int FA0/1, and then you just write this one command, IP helper -address, just like that. And then you write the IP address of the server, which, as you may remember, is 6.1.1.2. And that's all that you have to do for that. So let's also, if there was another interface, then you would have done that for that interface as well. So let's go ahead and do it for this interface too. So go to the router, config T, and let's say, and what's this interface? It's FA0/0. So we're going to say FA0/0, and then we're going to say IP helper address and 6.1.1.2. So now that you've done that, what you're going to do is that you are going to make a pool for all of these networks, for all of these interfaces, for each of them. So one pool for this and one pool for this. And the way that you do that is that you go to the server and you go to services, you go to DHCP, and then as you can see, the service is off right now. So let's start adding our pools. Let's name the first one server pool 1. And we're going to give this default gateway this one, the interface that we want to give DHCP assistance to. So we're going to say 2.1.1.1, leave this as it is, and start this IP address as 2.1.1.1. And you can leave the rest of the stuff as it is, or you can change it according to your requirements. So right now we only have one number of users. So maximum number of users, 512, shouldn't bother us. If, for example, you wanted, you had more end devices than 512, then you would have tampered with this and changed it according to your requirements. But right now, this is fine for us. So we're gonna go ahead and click add, and then we're gonna do the second server pool. So the IP address over here is 5.1.1.1. So let's go ahead and change that, 5.1.1.1, and over here as well. And let's go ahead and add that. And once you've added all your server pools and you've saved, then you can go ahead and turn on the service. And now all that you need to do is that you need to go to the end device and go to IP configuration. And instead of static, you're going to go ahead and click DHCP. If we go ahead and fast forward time, we'll see that the DHCP request is successful and an IP address was automatically assigned to it. Let's also do it for this laptop. Let's go to desktop, IP configuration, and DHCP, fast forward. And you can see that the DHCP request was successful. And why don't we go ahead and we try this for, let's go ahead and attach another end device to this router over here. So go over to connections and let's see if that also automatically gets assigned an IP address. So go to the desktop, IP configuration, and go ahead. And even if you don't fast forward the time, it will obviously get assigned, but it will take a little bit longer. So the DHCP request is successful, as you can see. So if you had more routers over here and if you had more interfaces, and there were some interfaces that for some reason you didn't want the DHCP to assign IPs to them, then you would have done the simple thing that you would have gone to the laptop or the end device and you would have gone to IP configuration, and instead of DHCP, you would just have assigned the IP address statically. But this video was for DHCP, so I think that's it for DHCP configuration. If you have any questions or if you have any requests for any more videos, let me know in the comments below, and see you next time. Hope you learned something.